For me, the Bay Area scene, you have Metallica and Exodus, there, you know, a couple of other bands, and for me, I loved Exodus. I mean, Exodus was when we talk about thrash.
Exodus was so intense. The guitar work, the screaming, the yelling.
The best Bay Area bands back then was by far Exodus. There was Metallica, but Exodus to me was really the true force of what was going on.
I remember when we did the show, we did the shows with Exodus, right? You know, when you hear about bands, but this was like actually experiencing Exodus. You know, it's like we got to play like these guys because they were just intense.
I want to see some fucking blood up on the stage. All right.
I still have not seen a show as intense as Exodus. When they played, when they said there's blood up on the stage, there was blood up on the stage.
Fire in the front row, it's a bang and there's blood up on the stage. Banger against the stage and metal takes its place. Blood in my blood.
I mean, to me, you know, even Metallica, I mean, in some ways were influenced by Exodus. I mean, they even got Kirk, you know.
Well, Metallica found Kirk Hammett playing in Exodus, and Kirk was a co-founder of the band.
When Kirk left the band and joined Metallica, it freed me up to, like, you know, start taking the band in the direction where we are now, you know. So it was a good move for both of us. Better for him financially.
Exodus continued without me, and I really thought that, you know, their first album, Bonded by Blood, was just such a great, exuberant thrash metal album.
To me, Bonded by Blood was a really cool and different album at that time, and I loved riffing on it.
Exodus Bonded by Blood is the best thrash album of all time.
I put it in and it just blew me away. It was insane.
Just the raw power, Bonded by Blood by Exodus, with the alternate cover of the Siamese twin getting ripped in two.
For a while, Exodus were banned from every Bay Area club. They could not play in any club because, you know, every owners knew and promoters knew that the place would get just destroyed. So all they could do is just play like barbecue parties. We're like, oh, Exodus is playing at this barbecue, you know, backyard barbecue, and we'll all show up and watch them play.
You couldn't invite them to parties because they would tear down something, they would rip something, they would break things. They liked breaking things and people.
The first time Slayer came up to the Bay Area, they played the Stone and Ruthie's, and after the first night, they said, go ahead, thrash the hotel. And they didn't even finish the word before we started just wrecking it. We made a new entrance into the bathroom. We tore a hole in the wall big enough to walk through, wrecked TV, spiked pizza to the ceiling, and then as soon as we got the word that the cops are on the way, we vanished like cockroaches when you hit the lights. It was killer.
They liked to actually snort spit lines. That was like a big thing in their circle. So you just kind of like loogie right over there, just, and I don't know, I guess it was a manly thing. So these guys were wild and insane and needed to be caged, because when they were out, they were like, just, you know, they could go into a party and then it would just, by the end of the night, we'd be the last one standing there drinking. And I remember Paul Bailoff, they had a dead mouse and he dropped it in the mouth of some girl that was passed out.
Paul Bailoff was, you know, the original singer of Exodus, and definitely, you know, a larger-than-life character.
He used to do some pretty crazy things. At certain parties back in the day, he would have this thing called helicopter trout, and it was a pair of gardening shears that he had drawn teeth on, and when he saw like some poser that had like fringes on his jacket or whatever, he'd come up and cut the fucking guy's jacket up and stuff.
I think Bailoff had a lot, you know, he threw some ripping parties, and we took some people like, you want to go to a party, man? Well, I'll take you to one, and you go there, you want to break somebody's house up, man, because it's okay, you know, and we'd go over there.
They look like this, actually.
Yeah.
Paul Bailoff, Destroyer, lives, relationships, property, no job too big. He had that printed on a business card.
We used to call him like the John Belushi of Bay Area metal, because he was like just all, yeah, you know, it's like, metal rules, and if you don't like it, die.
Yeah, metal rules, and if you don't like it, die.
It's like, my grandma can make more noise than this and she's dead.
Are you a fucking whip? Scream your fucking arms out!
He wasn't the greatest singer, but I mean, it really didn't matter about that with him. It's just his like unconditional love for metal more than anybody I think I ever met.
Paul Bailoff would forget lyrics. He'd come in off time, but when he scream out "kill a poser," any posers at the show, they started sweating.
He was the heart, man. He was the heart of thrash. He was just a funny guy. I mean, I always had a good time with him.
Paul was metal through and through. He lived it. He loved it. He died loving it.
When Paul Bailoff left and Steve Seuss, or as we call him, Zetro, joined the band, there was plenty of reason for it. I mean, Exodus was a band that wanted to continue to work and go out and do tours, and they just weren't able to deal with Paul at the time because there's a lot of partying going on. I mean, if you knew Paul Bailoff, you knew that he liked to drink and he liked to do a few other things.
As great of a frontman as Bailoff was, they just didn't feel that he had vocally what they really needed to go to another level. So in came Zetro Sousa, who was found in Testament.
You guys are the front